Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker. I get asked quite a lot what I think of the CB750, probably because it's a cheaper bike to buy. So what I decided to do is talk about a little video of, do I think you should buy it and why? So to start off with a few of the reasons I think you should buy this bike, it's very cheap to buy. You can pick these up anywhere from $1,700 to about $3,500. Depending on how good of a condition you want and what spec you want. You can also buy these in the UK, and I think personally that's a much better bike overall because it has the double discs up front and whatever else. It's a more higher spec version of the Nighthawk. But that doesn't detract from what this is, which is a very fun riding experience, and really is a nice bike for the price. The other key benefit of this bike is it doesn't use much fuel. So like for this, I like this as a commuter, and it's fun for shorter trips. I don't think I'd recommend this for longer trips for those of us of taller taller genetics. But certainly for those of you who are of a more average height, it would actually be really hard to beat this bike for the price point, because there's still aftermarket accessories you can get to carry luggage for these guys. They're uber reliable, very easy to get parts for, as I have found. You know, a lot of the stuff like spark plugs and air filters are actually in stock in a lot of stores. And because they're more of a parts bin Honda, it's just easy to get parts for them anyway. You can change to whatever bars you want in the known universe. Brake maintenance is easy because you have only one caliper and one brake line to worry about, no ABS, nothing like that. And your clutch is cable operated. So really and truly a very simple bike and a very fun bike for longer trips. I've only taken this on one long trip, and that's why I would not really recommend it for someone of my height, because it's a little bit cramped for long distance for someone of my size. And to throw it out there in case this is the first time you've ever seen one of these videos, I am 6'7" or 200 centimeters tall and around about 280, 290 pounds right now. Which I'll put other numbers on the screen, but about 20 plus stone, which is a stupid measurement system as well. I think maybe 128 kilos, something like that. My weighing scale now is in pounds because I live in the US now. Other things about this bike is it looks great, which obviously is a key selling point for bikes. I love a UJN style motorcycle, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's Universal Japanese Motorcycle, which is like this one. You know, nice and simple design. You got your standard tank up in front of you, a relatively flat seat. Obviously this one isn't completely flat, and plenty of places that you can tie crap onto, because the whole purpose of these bikes back in the day is it was the one utility bike to do it all, which I really do think we're missing from modern life, unfortunately. Kawasaki have the Z900 RS, which does harken back to the retro, that retroness, which is why they're called retro classics or whatever they are. It has a wisp of UGM about it, but it's just a little bit less industrial. You know, the dashboard on this is quite industrial, quite parts bin looking. They definitely said, okay, well, we want to add a turn signal light. Where do we put it? Well, slap it in the center, it doesn't matter. You know, you have the old twisty dial odometer reset for your mileage. You don't have a fuel light at all. You just have to turn it on and off at the fuel tap. And you do get an oil warning light, a side stand warning light, a neutral switch light, and a high beam light. That's it. That's it. So I like that. I think that style is actually quite beautiful in its own right. And it's something that I definitely look for in a motor C-Clay. Another reason I think you should buy this bike, and we're going to run through it physically just to show you what I mean, is this bike has hydraulically adjusted valves. So you never need to do valve adjustment on this bike. Why is that good? I'm glad you asked. Because on motorcycles, the biggest job for the average person, the most expensive job for the average person if they're not going to do it themselves, is valve adjustment. And it's something that can really mess up your engine if you don't do it. So I do advise doing it as appropriate for your bike. you never need to do it with this one. So you have spark plugs, oil filter, air filter, bearings, the clutch, stuff that really isn't that difficult to worry about. You know, there's not a huge amount there. The biggest challenge you'll have is your swing arm bearing and your headstock bearing, which are not that difficult. They're hard. It takes a bit of time and patience, takes a bit of extra tools that you might not have, but they're not that hard. Honestly, the most difficult part about the headstock bearings is supporting the front end of your bike. Honestly, in my opinion, that's the hardest part, because this one, unlike something that has fairings and lots of crap around the front, it's very accessible. You know, you pop off your bars, you take off your top nut, and you're there. It's not easy, it's a time-consuming job, but it's attainable for the average at-home mechanic. Swing arm bearings are a bit more difficult. Everything else that I've done on this, I've done spark plugs, very simple. Brake line is very simple, brake bleed, very simple. Clutch line is very simple. Air filter is very simple. And because you have completely standard forks, that's going to be quite simple too. But for now, let's just run through what I mean by that. This era of serviceability, this era of bike that was really made to last you a long time. I'm going to show you how to get to some of the parts. So first and foremost, we're going to get this seat off. How you get the seat off is, there's a key at the back. Yeah. Turn that, pull it up, and pull it back, just like that. I'm gonna leave that to one side. And then to get off these side panels, you pull down grommets, and there you go. You now have access to your battery, and then over here is the airbox. There's the two side panels away, so we just got access to, I'm just gonna walk you around and show you. So in 2 seconds, we have access to the battery, and we also just got access to the airbox. And to change out the air filter, my knees, you literally take out 1, 2, 3, 4 screws right there. We don't have studio lighting in here yet. So next what I'm going to do is take off this 12mm bolt right here, and we're going to slide back the tank. Well, I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm just going to show you how easy it is to get to. And then you have your 4 spark plugs right there. Obviously there are 1 or 2 other pieces that you do have to watch out for, such as your fuel line over here on the left hand side of the tank, just here by your petcock. But really and truly, all you need to do is take out that bolt and slide the tank back. And that's it. You don't even need to take the tank off. You really only need to slide it back to about here, and then you have access to all 4 spark plugs. Super, super easy. And that is, honestly, that is kind of the your regular servicing taken care of. Now we're going to put it back together. So to put it back together, you just want to slide back in your plastic panels with the grommets. You would also tighten the back up your tank already, of course. Again, panel number 2. And slide back on the seat. Just like that. This honestly is one of the easier bikes I've ever worked on. And that is why I would recommend it, because this bike would be a great starter bike, it would be a great commuter bike, and it would be a great touring bike, because you really only have to worry about servicing, on the road. So, for instance, imagine you want to ride around America. You just have to worry about spark plugs, oil filter, air filter. The chain is going to last. I also have changed the chain on this bike. I have done the chain swaps in bikes a couple of times. I'll leave videos there. I'll leave a link there. The air filter, if you ever want to see that, I can do a short on that. And or the spark plugs. Again, I've done spark plugs on bikes, but I can also do a short on that if you want to see how to get in and access those guys. Just let me know. I also did do a short on the oil change on this particular bike. So everything is there if you need it. And that is one huge bonus point for this bike. Other than that, there's not much else to say. I really do think that this is a great little bike. I I just wanted to make a quick video to answer some questions on it, because a lot of people have been asking me, is it a bike that I would recommend? And it really is, you know, it really is. It's a bike that I can see someone buying and keeping for their entire riding career, even if they're riding like life cycle, even if they move on to other bikes. I can't see myself ever getting rid of this because they're so cheap to buy. And I know that's obviously not an inconsequential amount of money, you know, $2,500 is not an inconsequential amount of money. But the spark plugs are really cheap for this, the air filter is really cheap for it, parts in general are really cheap for it. So even if you weren't doing it yourself, labor on this thing is super easy. And I do mean it that if you want me to show you on how to do anything on the outside serviceable level of this that isn't breaking apart the engine, please do let me know. Like I said, I have links. I have videos covering clutch changes, very similar to this style. Chain and sprocket changes, pretty much exactly like this style. Spark plug changes, actually much more difficult in this style, so if you can follow along with that, this is way easier. You pull that tank back and you have full access to this bike because it's air cooled. You don't have to deal with that complication of liquid cooling. You know, there's no radiator, there's no extra cooling lines, there's no thermostat, there's nothing to get in your way when you get in there. And yes, I talk with my hands, okay? Ninja style. But really and truly, this bike is one that has impressed me. I won't say I've fallen in love with it, but I've definitely fallen in respect with it. It is a fantastic little bike and one that I will enjoy riding very far into the future. Changes we did recently, like I said, spark plugs, air filter, oil, brake pads, brake line, brake bleed, chain and sprockets. If you want to see any of that, just let me know. I can either give you a link to one of my videos, or I can make it short if I haven't done it yet. But really and truly, super impressed with this little bike. I highly recommend it. The only people I don't highly recommend it to is those of a taller persuasion. I think from short all the way up to semi-tall, like 6'1", 6'2", I think you'd be pretty comfortable on this. When you get into my height, it's a little bit more cramped. Now, the more of a contortionist you are, the better you'll do. You know, I did 250 miles one way, 250 miles home the day after on this thing. And while I was a little bit cramped up, it wasn't too bad, but certainly not something I would recommend to a friend. So that's there to bear in mind. I will have a full early ownership review of this bike coming soon because a lot of people are asking for it, but I just wanted to get this one out there because a lot of people were also asking for it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and yeah, until next time, thank you very much for watching. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons. I do appreciate all of your support and patience with me because I'm still a little bit slow on videos, but we are getting back there, I promise. I haven't fallen out of love with YouTube or anything. I actually have a lot of ideas that I want to get done. It's just to get the time to do them. Anyway, won't make excuses about it, but we'll get there. And yeah, until next time, thank you again for watching. Adios. Outro crew, what is your favorite part about this little bike? If you were to own one, is it the service? Is it how easy it is to service? Is it their overall reliability? Is it the fact that it can still be fun in twisty turnies? Even though it is actually quite a cheap, reliable, fuel-efficient bike, because usually you don't get all of those things in one packet, but you do get it in this one. So yeah, let me know. Bye, outro crew.